Thousands lined the quays as the boat bringing the body home pulled into Custom House Quay.
The funeral cortege pulls away from the City Hall and went on its journey to the North Cathedral. The City Hall was burned 2 months later by British troops. After Requiem Mass, the coffin is carried out of the cathedral, followed close by many dignitaries, including Arthur Griffith and Father Dominic. Again, thousands lined the streets of Cork as his remains were carried by his comrades through the city. Terence's remains were finally put to rest in the Republican plot of St. Finbarr Cemetery, alongside his friend Tomás McCurtain.
Without doubt, Terence MacSwiney was one of the key figures in 20th century Irish history. He was a man of his times, but also he was somebody who influenced his times. There was many sides to his character. He was a soldier, a politician, a playwright, an author, a father and a husband. But above all, he was a patriot and somebody who was deeply committed and prepared to lay down his life for the establishment of an independent Irish Republic. And indeed, as events turned out, he did lay down his life for the establishment of this republic, and his legacy remains with us to this day.
I think that people misunderstand hunger strikes because, first of all, that wasn't the first hunger strike. There were many hunger strikes before and they were always let go. So this was just another action in a war. And it was a war of nerves and of facing down the opposition. It was basically, I'm in your face, and you're in my face, and you're going to blink before me. So he had no idea that it was going to go like that. But he was raising the ante because they had gone, the British had actually authorised and then carried out through the police an assassination of his predecessor in his own home, the Lord Mayor McCurtain. And then Terence MacSwiney says, right, I'll stand in the breach, I'll take this position, and in his two main speeches, the one for the inauguration as Lord Mayor and then the one after his arrest and during the court-martial, they were very much an in-your-face speech. He did, there's no doubt. But there again, he would have seen it as part of his inheritance. I mean, the MacSwineys go back 17 generations to 1200 when they had 2 castles in West Cork. They had 5 castles in Donegal. They were a very proud history. His grandfather left Cork to go and fight against Garibaldi for the Pope. So they had a mixture of fighting for what was right and education. And his ancestry back into Donegal, the MacSwineys were the chieftains to the O'Donnells. Part of that was you protected the O'Donnells, but the other half, part of it was that the sons of both families were fostered to the other family. In other words, they were the educators for the O'Donnells. So he would have known that he had this inheritance from both sides, both the military, the fighting for what was right, and the educational.
Well, when I got to Cork, there was no sign of him. I mean, there was nothing special about him. My aunts told me about him, and I thought he was just one of those many people who had given their lives to free the country. And they got me this locket with his hair in it. They had it made specially. Daddy on one side, a Colleen Das on the other, he used to call me that. The first time that I actually realised it was when we were going to Rome. My aunt was with a group from Cork, were going to Rome in 1950 for the Holy Year, and she asked me would I like to come along. And we crossed the frontier from France into Italy at a small little station like the size of Limerick Junction. And our priest, Father Bastable, who accompanied us to look after us, he had been in Rome as a student and he fluent Italian. And when we arrived at this station, he produced all these badges. Everybody was to put it up, Irlanda, and don't take them off So we all suddenly put up this land, and when the station people, the baggage handlers and all those people working in the station, it was a very small station, when they saw all these Irlanders suddenly coming up, they came around and they said, Irlanda? Is that where Terence MacSwiney came from, the Lord Mayor? I was stunned that these were ordinary working people, that they knew. The only thing they knew about Irlanda, in fact, was Terence MacSwiney. And of course, Father Bastard was in his element. He had a sister of Terence MacSwiney there. He had the daughter of Terence MacSwiney. So that was the first time. But then I learned very many other instances throughout the 50s and so on of his being known abroad.
Certainly when you become Lord Mayor of Cork, the one thing you learn very, very quickly is that the legacy of Terence MacSwiney and Tomás McCurtain is something that Cork people hold very close to their hearts. And I don't think there's any other part of the country where Lord Mayors, Terence MacSwiney from 1920 would be so remembered. And even the fact that you're here this morning from Scoil Oilibhéir doing a programme about Terence MacSwiney here in City Hall serves to prove that the people of Cork remember, respect the memory of Terence MacSwiney. Well, I think Terence's greatest legacy was that he unified the Cork people. He gave them great leadership for a brief period in his life, and he allowed, I suppose, Cork people develop into the confident, proud people that we are. And I think Cork people love Cork. I think Cork people love Cork more than other Irish people love where they're from, and that's quite a big boast to make, but I think it's true. And I think other parts of the country would see that as a cockiness or a confidence, an over-exuberance or an overconfidence.
But I did hear certain things about the stevedores in New York Harbour wouldn't unload British merchant ships. And of course then there was this opera singer in Milan, the diva, Margaret Buck Sheridan, yeah. She came out on her stage, and she was the principal soprano, and she came out and spoke to the audience. And that night, the day they died, and she said, "You will understand, I can't sing tonight. My compatriot has died." That was something I heard myself, but only from my aunts. I never heard anything about Terence MacSwiney outside the home.
I was very happy because my butterfly was a success at the Dal Verme. But when I went to the San Carlo of Naples, I was very nervous indeed. While I was there, this great opera house closed as a tribute to Ireland when Terence MacSwiney died. On the very day of his death, I was scheduled to sing a gala performance of Butterfly to a packed house. However, even before I had heard the tragic news, an improvised and chalked announcement was written up on the walls of the city of Naples. Margherita non canta stasera, l'hanno ammazzato suo compatriota. Viva l'Irlanda e abbasso l'Inghilterra. Margherita Sheridan will not sing tonight in Butterfly. They have murdered her great compatriot. Long live Ireland and down with England.